All right, let's talk about something that I think pretty much everyone can relate to. You find a new hobby, a new passion, and you dive in headfirst with this incredible energy, only to watch it all just fizzle out. Well, today we're going to get into the science of why that happens, and way more importantly, how you can actually beat it.
So, let me ask you something. Do you have a graveyard in your house? No. I'm not talking about anything spooky. I'm talking about a graveyard of abandoned hobbies and forgotten dreams.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Maybe it's that guitar in the corner gathering dust that you swore you were going to learn, or that pile of language books you bought with so much excitement. Maybe a coding project that's half finished on your computer, art supplies still in their packaging, a yoga mat that, let's be honest, has seen more of the inside of a closet than the floor. Yeah, we've all got them.
And every single time you look over at this graveyard, you feel it, don't you? That little twinge of guilt, that little voice in your head that whispers, I really should get back to that. It's a frustrating feeling.
And of course, society has all sorts of labels for this. People might call you flaky or say you lack grit. But the one that really stings, the classic one, is this old saying, Jack of all trades, master of none. It makes it sound like it's some permanent part of who you are.
So let's put this hobby graveyard under the microscope. Because if we're ever going to break this cycle, we have to understand how it even gets started in the first place.
And what's crazy is it follows this super predictable pattern, doesn't it? It starts with this intense, fiery passion. You honestly feel like you found the one. Then comes what you could call greedy consumption, where you're just inhaling information, learning so fast. But then, right when things start to get a little bit serious, a little bit tough, that feeling just, poof, it evaporates. And that leads to the final step. You get bored, you quit, and your attention shifts to the next shiny new thing.
And after years of this loop, the self-blame really starts to pile up. You look at everything you've started and stopped, and you just ask yourself, why can't I just stick to something? But today, I want to give you a totally different way to look at it, one that's a whole lot kinder and a lot more scientific. Welcome to what we're going to call the Novice High trap, because here's the single most important thing to understand. This is not a personality flaw. It's basically a glitch in your brain's chemistry. You are not broken. Your brain is just wired in a very, very specific way. See, it all comes down to something called the knowledge instinct. Think about it like this. When you start a new video game, what's the most exciting part? It's rapidly figuring out the map, the controls, learning the new systems. Your brain loves that feeling of fast progress. But here's the kicker. Your brain gets a bigger reward from the speed of learning than it does from actually mastering the skill. It's addicted to the thrill of the chase.
And this is the heart of the trap. On one side, you have that novice high. Everything's new, you're learning incredibly fast, and your brain is just flooded with dopamine. It honestly feels like falling in love. But then you hit the plateau. The novelty's gone, your progress slows to a crawl, and that dopamine faucet just gets shut right off. It stops feeling like learning and starts feeling like withdrawal.
And that feeling, that chemical withdrawal, that is the fork in the road. It's not laziness that's making you want to stop. It's your brain literally screaming at you because its chemical reward has been taken away. This is the exact moment where almost everybody quits. Okay, so how in the world do we push past that fork in the road? Well, we do it by building our willpower muscle, because it turns out that tenacity, or grit, as people call it, it's not some magic personality trait you're either born with or you're not. It's an actual physical part of your brain that you can train just like any other muscle. I really want you to let this one sink in. Quitting when things get hard isn't a moral failing. It is, quite literally, muscle atrophy. Your willpower muscle is just out of shape because you haven't been working it out. And yep, this muscle has a name. It's called the anterior midcingulate cortex, or let's just call it the aMCC. It's way easier. Neuroscientists have shown this is the specific part of your brain that lights up when you make yourself do something you don't feel like doing. It's your brain's built-in personal trainer. So, how do you work it out? It's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. You face a task that feels boring, or frustrating, or just plain hard. Then, you do it anyway. When you do that, your aMCC activates, and just like lifting a weight, your willpower gets a tiny bit stronger. Every time you quit, that muscle gets a little bit weaker.
All right, so if the aMCC is a muscle, how do we actually send it to the gym? Let's talk about a super practical, simple exercise you can start using today.
It's called the 15% workout. The only number you need to remember is 15%. Look, you're not trying to go from never working out to suddenly bench pressing 300 pounds. That's a recipe for failure. The goal is to start with a really small, manageable weight. It's all about applying the principle of progressive overload, but for your brain.
Here's exactly how you do it. You're practicing your new skill, and you feel that all too familiar urge to quit, that feeling of boredom. Don't stop. But, and this is key, don't try to force yourself to work for another hour. Just push for 15% more. Read one more page. Practice for 5 more minutes. That tiny little bit of extra effort, that's 1 rep. That's 1 workout for your willpower muscle.
Now, there is one more crucial piece to this. We also have to treat what you could call boredom intolerance. In our modern world, our brains are so used to constant entertainment from our phones and social media that quiet, focused work can feel like actual torture. So we have to lower our baseline. By putting the phone away, by letting our brain get used to quiet again, that 15% push is going to feel a whole lot easier.
Okay, and this is a really, really important point. If you have ADHD, your brain is just wired differently. Trying to rely on sheer willpower alone can be a fast track to burnout and shame. So the key isn't just to push harder, it's to build external supports for your brain. This means using tools like visualizing your progress so you can see it, using timers, working alongside another person, or even turning your tasks into a game with rewards.
So, once you start training your aMCC and you start managing your dopamine, something really cool starts to happen. You begin what we can call the polymath journey. You actually start to evolve from being a dabbler into a polymath in training. So I want to leave you with a little challenge. Call it the 6-month challenge. Pick just one of those things from your hobby graveyard. Just one. Commit to it for 6 months. Now listen, your goal is not to become a world-class expert. Your real goal is just to hit that frustrating plateau, to feel that urge to quit, and then use that 15% push to do the work anyway. The real goal is to train the muscle.
Because once you prove to yourself, just once, that you can push through that dip, you unlock a completely new identity. You will realize that the label dabbler was never who you were. It was just a temporary phase. It was just a description of an untrained muscle.
So just remember, this is not about magic, it's about mechanics. You are not fighting some deep character flaw, you're just training a muscle in your brain. You now have the power to change this pattern, starting today. So, I'll leave you with one last question. What dusty hobby are you going to pick up for your 6-month challenge?